On edge for the past 24 hours, waiting to see how voters would shape the city's political future. Voters weighed in on races for mayor, D.C. delegate, and some of those key at-large council seats. And now we're getting our first look at the results. But tonight is about more than who won and who's behind. The results may offer important clues about what issues mattered most to voters and where the district's politics could be heading next. Joining me right now to break down the early returns and what they could mean moving forward is Democratic strategist Jay Satterfield. Good to see you, Jay.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
All right, so first up, a lot of people are processing these numbers and digesting these results. What is your biggest takeaway so far from what you're seeing?
There's an ideological change happening in the city of D.C. I think that's just very evident to see at this point in time. Overwhelming victories, both on the mayoral front and of course on the new delegate seat. Both seats have been not vacant for about 20 to 40 years, depending on which one we're looking at. So I think the ideological shift is very fair to say is something happening in the city, and it's coming quick.
Yeah, what do you think is happening, especially when we look at this race for mayor? You talk about Janice Lewis-George, a self-identified Democratic socialist, Kenya McDuffie, who was always seen as the more pragmatic candidate here. Sure. What do these numbers suggest about how voters are feeling and what they want to see change in the city?
Look, I like to keep this stuff simple. People are hungry. They want to put food on their tables, and they want to have a roof over their head. I don't think that's too hard to ask in the nation's capital. And, you know, I've always prided myself as a dirt road Democrat, given where I'm from in the state of Georgia. But I got to be honest with you, here in D.C., folks are struggling. And it's evident to see every day. Look, I have a good job, and I can't say that I don't do bad, but I still have my worries here and there. I couldn't imagine being someone in Southeast D.C. struggling the way they do on a daily basis. Folks are ready for a change, and by God, they voted for it here just a couple days ago.
So what issue do you think stood out to voters most in terms of public safety? We talked about affordability just now. Sure. And of course, President Trump. He was a big factor in this as well. Do you think that all of those mattered to voters collectively, or was there one that stood out that drove people to the polls? You
know, polling showed us affordability was there. That was the biggest worry. But crime was also an issue. You know, Janice and Kenya have different ways of approaching that, and obviously her way was the path forward, or it's looking to be the path forward, I should say, coming up. But President Trump, look, he weighed in and said essentially there'd be a federal takeover if she won, and I think this was just sort of a big up to him to say we don't really care what you say. This is a city of 700,000 people that have rights like anyone else, and you're not going to take this away from us. So I think it was a force of show. Was his wording everything for her to clear the line? No, she ran a great campaign and had a lot of momentum, but that could have taken her over the line.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks are also surprised in talking about the race for mayor again, this margin between Janice Lewis-George and Kenya McDuffie. We looked at some of the polling heading into it, and it was a lot tighter. But this is a sizable lead that she has right now.
It is, and I think folks were rebuking Muriel Bowser. Let's just be honest about it. I mean, she didn't come out and make full endorsements of anyone officially, but unofficially, it was pretty clear to see who she was backing, both on the congressional front and the mayoral front, and those choices did not prevail.
No official endorsement from the mayor who's been leading the city for more than a decade.
Yeah,
what does that say?
It says that she wanted to play her political cards, and while she did it unofficially, people noticed. And, you know, I think she should have just come out and said who she was going to endorse. It would have made her life much more simple. Last night you saw that she was at Brooke Pinto's watch party. So given her tone and attitude, I think it was safe to say who she was supporting behind the scenes.
All right, so what should we be looking for now? We know that this is not over. Yeah. Of course, the Board of Elections, they're still tabulating some of those votes right now. So the next couple of days, what should we be looking out for?
I'll mention one thing that's really big, as we talked about a moment ago, this fight with Trump. I mean, let's see how far this guy actually takes it. We know he's a lot of blunder in a lot of ways, whether it's to the Iran war or something else in between, but he is really focused on making sure she doesn't have a run. And, you know, he talked a big game with Mamdani in New York.
I was about to say that, and now they love each other.
And now they love each other, but let's look how he treats women, especially women of color. It's unacceptable, it's disgusting, and it makes him the pig who he is. And I think that's something that is going to be a challenge for Janice Lewis-George, but folks around D.C., no matter who we all voted for, should get behind her.
Yeah, tough road ahead.
Sure is.
Democratic strategist Jay Satterfield, good to see you again. Thanks for being here with us.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right, and by the way,